Today's reading came to mind as I was sifting through various thoughts concerning the Duggar Debacle. In fact, it was a reaction to what Eric, aka Dinoman Jr., Hovind had said in support of Joshieboy. Quote, "Atheists, therefore, cannot condemn any immoral act, as their worldview posits that morality is nonsense. In other words, atheists have no moral foundation." What is apropos concerning my selection for today's mini-episode of What Dune Reads is our overall topic for today's show. What was the turning point in regards to belief versus unbelief? Bertrand Russell's Why I'm Not a Christian was one of those tipping points. Also embedded within Russell's work is a second point I also considered, the Euthyphro dilemma. The following is taken from the subsection, The Moral Arguments for Deity.
The moral arguments for deity. Now we reach one stage further in what I shall call the intellectual descent that the theists have made in their argumentations, and we come to what are called the moral arguments for the existence of God. You all know, of course, that there used to be in the old days 3 intellectual arguments for the existence of God, all of which were disposed of by Immanuel Kant in the Critique of Pure Reason. But no sooner had he disposed of those arguments than he invented a new one, a moral argument, and that quite convinced him. He was like many people. In intellectual matters he was sceptical, but in moral matters he believed implicitly in the maxims that he had imbibed at his mother's knee. That illustrates what the psychoanalysts so much emphasize, the immensely stronger hold upon us that our very early associations have than those of later times. Kant, as I say, invented a new moral argument for the existence of God, and that, in varying forms, was extremely popular during the 19th century. It has all sorts of forms. One form is to say that there would be no right or wrong unless God existed. I'm not for the moment concerned with whether there is a difference between right and wrong, or whether there is not. That is another question. The point I am concerned with is that if you are quite sure there is a difference between right and wrong, you are then in this situation. Is that difference due to God's fiat, or is it not? If it is due to God's fiat, then for God himself there is no difference between right and wrong, and it is no longer a significant statement to say that God is good. If you are going to say, as theologians do, that God is good, you must then say that right and wrong have some meaning which is independent of God's fiat, because God's fiats are good and not bad, independently of the mere fact that he made them. If you are going to say that, you will then have to say that it is not only through God that right and wrong came into being, but that they are, in their essence, logically anterior to God. You could, of course, if you liked, say that there was a superior deity who gave orders to the God who made this world, or could take up the line that some of the Gnostics took up, a line which I often thought was a very plausible one, that, as a matter of fact, this world that we know was made by the devil at a moment when God was not looking. There's a good deal to be said for that, and I'm not concerned to refute it.
And so ends our reading for this June 1st of the year 2015, Common Era. Have a good night, y'all.